You're listening to Where You Live with Gene and Tony.
Welcome back to Where You Live with Gene and Tony. I'm Gene Sullivan, and with me, Tony Crockett. And I am much better now here, this segment. I was just off my game this first one. You
had a little problem over there, didn't you?
I had malfunctioning here with my with my headset. The cord to my headset had wrapped around the roller of the chair that I was on.
Yeah, you were kind of having a conniption fit over there, Gene.
Yes, I should have just stopped and just read the story, but I was too involved.
Yeah.
But that is taken care of, and I'm back. So we're glad that you're back and listening today here this Sunday with Where You Live with Gene and Tony. We've got a number of topics to talk about today. A couple things, though, I want to say. First of all, we want to say a big welcome to Minnesota Asphalt Maintenance, one of our new sponsors for the show. And I was also amiss in also welcoming a couple weeks ago. We had another new sponsor, and that was All Inc., who provide not only appliances, but they also do cabinetry work as well.
Okay.
They've got a great store that people ought to go to if you're looking.
Yep. They're very well known. They've been around for 100 years. I don't know 100 years, but years and years and years in the rental industry.
It's got to be at least 100 years.
It's got to be at least 100. They've supplied appliances to the rental industry, also coin-operated laundry, washer and dryer, that kind of thing. But I didn't know they did cabinetry.
But a lot more than just do the multi-housing industry now, too.
Sure.
To individual
homeowners. All right.
And also want to let our listeners know, we want to say a big thank you to all of our listeners of Where You Live. We were just getting an update before the show came on. We have been taking a look at a couple of bills that have been introduced that we've talked about in the past on the show. One was Senate File 926. And if you remember, we talked about that for a couple of weeks, where we talked about some of the issues and concerns there were as it pertained to emergency maintenance that could be stalled because you would have to get a prior permission from a renter or a homeowner prior to being able to just go in and take care of that emergency.
Yep.
And a number of other items, too. And I can see right here it says last action. It says that Senate File 926 has now been withdrawn and re-referred to Commerce and Consumer Protection. And so we want to say thanks to all our listeners who also participated in that, too.
And made their feelings known,
made a difference.
Yeah.
And when it says that a bill has just been withdrawn or re-referred, that just means, we need to rework this. They realized that there were some things that needed to be restated. And I really appreciate Senator Gerlach, who had taken the time to be on the show. I think this was something that he was genuinely trying to work out, and the fact that that they're reworking it, we appreciate all those efforts.
Yep, we appreciate that thoughtful response.
Yeah. Another thing before we get going too, I'd like to remind our listeners here in the first hour, we have a free subscription, a bi-monthly newsletter that we would like to give you free. It's called What's New. A lot of the topics we cover on the show are covered in further detail in that newsletter. It's a great resource. We have over 18,000 folks that are subscribers now. To get your free copy, give us a call during the week at 952-922-2500. Ask for Courtney, and she'll make sure that you start receiving your free subscription. Well, again, we also mentioned that our next topic here was to answer a question that a homeowner had written in earlier this week. And Tony, would you mind reading it?
Yep, this came in, looks like Thursday. It's a question about association fees and foreclosures. It says, "Hi, Gene and Tony. Wondering about association fees and foreclosures since I can't locate valid information online for the state of Minnesota. I want to mention here that it is difficult to find pertinent information online because it's, first of all, it's state by state legislation, and secondly, this is a very complex issue. So usually there's no simple answer.
That's right.
So he continues, we know that as members of an association, we're responsible to continue to pay the association fees regardless of who pays the mortgage, as long as the unit is in our name. But what happens in a foreclosure? Once the sheriff's sale takes place, who's responsible for the association dues? If we're still allowed to live in the unit until the sheriff presents us with the vacate letter, which we understand could be up to a year after the default, who's responsible for the association fees after we've vacated? And if it is us, how long are we responsible for the fees? I've been told by 2 sources that we'd be responsible for the fees once we're kicked out of the house until the buyer or new owner comes in, or for 6 months after we've been told to vacate, whichever comes first. Please advise at your earliest convenience. Thank you, V.
That's right.
Good question.
Yeah, it is. It's always a tough situation when a person goes into foreclosure. The important thing to remember is I think the state has set up some very thoughtful provisions in allowing a certain period of time to take place to try and help someone to get things taken care of and to be responsible. They call that the period of redemption.
Right.
And
when does that period start?
Yes. Usually what will happen is in a case like this, a person has not made either their mortgage payment or their homeowner association payment. First time that happens, mortgage company doesn't foreclose, an association doesn't foreclose, but you get a letter from them saying,
Sure,
you've got to keep current. If it goes into a second month, generally speaking, they'll find further correspondence from
You'll be
the
getting more mail.
association and also the mortgage company too, saying we've got to take this very seriously. If you don't work with us to pay this and pay late fees that have accrued, we're going to have to turn this over for legal action. And usually somewhere around the 3rd month or so is usually when foreclosure will begin to take place.
They start to raise that possibility. Yeah.
And what happens is the person who is owed the debt, let's say it's the association, will...
well, in this case, it's the mortgage company they're asking about.
Okay,
right?
okay. We'll keep it just
stay
with
there.
that.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So they owe the mortgage company the money. The mortgage company will get during this period of time they will get a decision. They will get a judgment for what is owed. And they will then set a date for what's called a sheriff's sale.
Okay.
And the sheriff's sale is basically just one particular date where the mortgage company says we're going to generally advertise publicly and say so-and-so owes us this amount of money. And there is a specific date of that sheriff's sale, and that's the beginning of that redemptive period.
Okay, so at the sheriff's sale, somebody steps up and purchases the property.
Yes, and in this case, the mortgage company would say, we're going to purchase
That's
it
right.
and take it
Very
take
often,
it back.
it's the mortgage company that purchases.
But someone else could. In other times when a few years ago when the market was so much different.
That's right.
you could have someone who, let's say, owes $150,000 that they've stopped making a payment on for a $300,000
But the home is worth more. Yes.
Yes.
Then you'd have people competing.
Then you'd
for
have
it.
people competing at that sheriff's sale to try and buy that. To try and buy that right.
Times have changed.
Exactly.
So now it's usually the mortgage company steps up to protect their investment.
They're interested, and they say
they take over the ownership.
Say, what we're owed, that's what we're purchasing it for.
Yeah.
And now the sheriff's sale starts that ticker, and there's a 6-month redemptive period so that the homeowner now has the opportunity to say, well, if I've got $150,000 equity, why don't I sell it, pay off what I owe,
pay off the mortgage,
so I'm okay. I get at least the money that I have put into this, and walk away for another day.
Yep.
But in the case where you don't have any equity, homeowners are finding little reason sometimes to put something on the market.
It's very difficult, right?
And even if they want to, there isn't a buyer out there
That's right.
that will pay what is owed.
But during this redemption period, should you come into some money somehow, you can pay off everything you owe on the house and retain ownership.
That's
You're
correct.
redeemed. You've taken care of the debt. So you have 6 months from the sheriff's sale to do that.
Yeah, and I'll say that probably at least half the time or better than that, I think homeowners during that redemptive period do borrow other money either from relatives or come into some other money, pay that off. There's an association that I've managed for over 10 years. And I've seen over that 10-year period, I've seen one individual who has probably gone in and out of foreclosure no less than 4 times.
Oh, my.
But each time they redeem.
Isn't that something?
So, it does happen, but that redemptive period is there to allow you to be able to make good on your debts and to be able to kind of clear things on and to go on.
And usually the redemption period is 6 months in the state of Minnesota. There are some exceptions to that we won't go into today. We'll just use the 6-month rule of thumb. So during that 6 months, you can redeem your house, pay everything off.
Yes. Generally speaking, when a mortgage company comes in, they will take a look and see that the person a lot of times has not been making payments to the association as well. And those payments started before the sheriff's sale as well. And
if you've defaulted on your fees to the homeowners association before the sheriff's sale, you will still owe that money to the association, correct?
That's right.
No matter what happens
That's
down
right.
the road. Okay.
But now when if the mortgage company now is taking possession, they're going to say, we're not going to be responsible for everything. And generally, it has been, I think in most cases, from the date of the sheriff's sale moving forward, that the mortgage company will take responsibility for to the association.
Yes.
Anything that you had owed the association prior to the sheriff's sale, you're still on the hook for. That doesn't go away.
That's right. And the association can still take collection action against you. What happens is when you lose the home, they no longer have a lien. The association no longer has a lien on the real estate for what you owe, but they can take collection action against you personally, like any non-collateralized debt.
That's right. And so, if you are looking at having to go through foreclosure either by the mortgage company or the homeowners association, it is important to really take a look at what you can do. And I'd like us, Tony,
I want to say one more thing about this. So who owes the fees during the 6-month redemption period while the owner still lives there?
Well, I'm going to say, why don't we answer that after we take this break?
All right.
We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to still take more time to answer the question, what happens when you begin to go into foreclosure? Who's responsible for the association fees? We'll be back after these messages.